it with individuals. He was the talk of the town. Is going down the word on the curve. You heard me? Let me just set this up real quick. Here in Southern California, it's a beautiful sunny day. Beautiful, beautiful, hot sunny day. But nah, it's not even that hot. It's just a lovely day. Clear skies. Chingon weather to be out and about and, doing your thing. Just make sure to always be aware of your surroundings because it definitely cracks on the weekend. Well, anytime, but especially more on the weekends. Especially on days like this. Well, we right here decided to hop on, chop it up, see what's good with everybody. Now, for those who are curious, a battle rap should be dropping on my other channel as this live is going on, right? Because it's in the process. It's processing right now. So it should be dropping anytime, like any minute now. If you guys want to scope that out, you guys can scope that out, considering the fact that the other battle rap reaction got taken down because, people got butthurt. And I'm just keeping it real. Like, bro, it's just my opinion. Don't get mad. 420. Mañana. Eso es todo. Oh, sí, cierto, huh? It is 420. On Easter? Easter Sunday? That's on 420? Damn, my boy. You have to pick one or the other. Celebrate Easter, celebrate 420. Because you can't celebrate both. I mean, you could. Just depends. What up, homie? How's it going? Good. How about yourself, though, Rich? What's good with you, my boy? How you been? A toda madre, un desmadre. All to the gravy. We chilling, my boy. We chilling. We just decided to hop on, chop it up, chop it up with individuals, see what's good, what's good. Buenas tardes. Thank you. Thanks for the content you put out. Do you know where the tortilla factory was located in Mission Road? Yes. Actually, I do. Actually, I don't know in which video, but I had talked about the specific of tortilla flats and the history behind the tortilla factory and all of that in one of the videos that I actually got from the older individuals from tortilla flats. And when I mean old, I mean old. I don't know exactly how old the homie was, but he was like in his 80s, though. So he was old. He was actually one of the uncles of a younger individual that I know, so he hooked it up. Very good. It's still crazy that people think that the word flats means first locals on the street or some shit like that. And it's just like, no, bro, that doesn't mean nothing. None of that has nothing to do with none of that. It means, a project home. That's the name for low-income housing homes. That's the name. That's what they're called, flats. Here in the States, people don't refer to them as flats, but like if you go to Europe and all of that, they refer to those type of buildings as flats. That's what they're called, flats. And the reason why the word flats stuck over here is because they built those low-income housing was when we were getting a lot of people coming from different countries, mostly Europeans coming over here. And they were, housing them in those areas, right? And they refer to those areas as, flats, right? Because they brought their European, lingo to them, right? And since, Americans are growing up poor Americans are growing up amongst these individuals, that's where the word, stuck to them. Like as the word flats, why they refer to them as flats. But I get people like, no, it's not true. Like, bro, you're a fucking goofy, bro. Like, people gonna tell me that they know more than the individuals that fucking started these neighborhoods. Like, oh yeah, when'd you get jumped in? Oh, I'm not from that gang. Yeah, and you're gonna know more than the individuals that are actually from those gangs. People are fucking goofballs. And you'll be surprised how many times that has happened. So many times, like, nah, bro, your info's wrong. And it's like, how, bro? I got it from those individuals. You're gonna know more than those individuals? Like, they just think that I'm up here guessing. Like, bro, that shit comes from them directly, from the source itself. But people, are stubborn. Whatever they think, they hold it down as factual, right? Just because they don't want to be wrong. I get individuals trying to tell me about my own neighborhood. Pretty good. just got back from. I went to a rave out there. Oh damn, they be having a lot of raves out there, huh? What's up? What up, bro? Here shopping for groceries. We finally made it on time after. Oh, serio, what store do you guys shop at? Like where they have like Indian stuff? If you don't mind me asking. Walmart or what? Or like, what kind of grocery stores over there? Is it food for less? Because I know you guys don't got like the Mexican ones, do you? Like El Super? Probably not. I think they're just California based. You talk about that, and I can't find it anywhere else. Do you know what? You know what? I think I could put it on the link. Right on the video. Give it a shout out. What's cracking like in my boy? Mr. Pasa's definitely up in the casa for the raza. Whoa, whoa. Easter and 420 go together because Jesus gave us weed. And you know what, bro? I can't argue with that way of seeing it. You know what I mean? The flats and there's during the Russian immigration time and all. Yep. He died for us to smoke weed. Well, yeah, if he didn't want you guys smoking, he wouldn't have put it on the planet. I guess that makes sense. I still find it funny that we gotta pay for stuff that this world provides to us for free. Because some individuals came and said that, nah, y'all gotta pay for it now. Like, what? We're the only creature on this planet that actually has to pay to live and eat what the earth provides us. What a trip, huh? Why that is? Because people said that that's what it is. Because ain't no magical being came from the sky and said that and told them, nah, this shit belongs to y'all. They just came and said that it belongs to them, and that's it. That's the final word. By the way, I just realized 18th Street is kind of like, I'm assuming that's Westside Verdugo, maybe? And Eastside Santa Brutas. They have different gangs that go by 18th Street. They all have different. What do you mean? I didn't quite understand it there. Like different branches or whatever, because even though they're different branches, they're different gangs, though. You know what I mean? You know, it's not. It's kind of like even what I said with Pacoima, Linwood, Compton, right? They represent the cities, but they're not the same gang, right? But 18th Street is the same gang, though, even though they have different cliques, right? It still falls under the same umbrella, though. While these gangs use the same name, but don't fall under the same umbrella. You know what I mean? Even in India, they're called flats. Oh, you see? Yeah, but you get individuals over here that are stubborn to the max. Does that mean you guys only beef with 18th Street and that is in with Hollywood and not the others, 18th Street? Oh no, it's all the same. It's all the same. See, the thing with 18 and MS, they're all the same, even though they have different branches everywhere with different cliques and stuff like that. They're all the same. They all fall under the same thing. While let's say Pacoima or Eastside Bruta, even though they have different gangs that represent Eastside Bruta or Pacoima or anything like that, they're not the same gang. You know, like they're not. You know what I mean? They're not the same thing. Westside Ventura. Westside Ventura. You mean Ventura Avenue gangsters? I think he meant Westside Verdugo, though. I'm not too sure, though. Because Ventura doesn't write it like that, though. They write, VAG, Ventura Avenue gangsters. Do you think slavery can be legalized against in the United States? No. No. There's a reason why they went to war and we had the Civil War. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't happen. Even though you still have individuals that think like that and see it that way, that are racist, there's not that many as people think that there is, There's very few. There's very few now. These people just don't give a fuck about that kind of shit no more. Like I said, you do have some still, right? But not as many though as there was before. What about Shadow? What's cracking lacking? What's good? Nah, it's specific Indian grocery chain. All right, okay, that's cool. All right, all right. Also, there must be like a big population like of Indians, on that area for them, uh, for that. No, it's kind of. I kind of wish we had a Mexican grocery store like the Cardenas. Oh yeah, Cardenas. Yeah, they're pretty cool. The weed tax is going up too. No, well, yeah, well, that's expected though, because it's weed. You know what I mean? Same way like cigarettes and shit like that, right? Um, so that's expected. People are still gonna pay regardless, though. Even though it's going up, it's still gonna be booming. I mean, it's bad enough that people already, it's bad enough that people are skeptical on the product as it is, right? So they don't mind taxing the shit out of it, right? Because they really don't want people smoking it in general, regardless. Same with cigarettes and everything else like that, right? That's bad for you. That's why they don't mind cranking it up because they really don't want people, you know, consuming that. Even if it was, I might get a wrong mission. And first, and mentioned the historic tortilla was around the area with the warehouse there. It would have been cleaned to know about the history. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you, bro. That whole area in itself is completely different than what it used to be before. You know, it looks nothing like how it does now, right? It's like completely different, and I mean like completely different, right? You know, and that not even just that area, but just throughout the area, right? It's. I'm not gonna say that they're not gentrifying the area, right? But the area is being improved, right? It's being modernized. There you go. It's being modernized. Looks more modern now, even with buildings, apartments, and all that. Um, because it has different gangs. The 18th Street has cliques on the west side. Yeah, like the 18, they're all the same. It's all the same gang. They're not like different gangs. Even though they're different cliques, they're all the same gang, though. They're all one. One. Same with MS. That's why, and even though you have individuals that beef it with each other, right? Because, like I said, you're just not going to get everyone, you're not going to be able to get everyone to get along with each other, right? That's like more of an internal problem amongst them individuals, but doesn't affect like the core of the neighborhood, right? So it's all the same thing no matter where the fuck it's at and where it starts and who and what. MS and East Coast. Yeah, they run their programs differently, but it's still the same. They still the same gang though. Even though, like I said, depending on the area and how those individuals choose to function and run their thing, right? But at the end of the day, there's only one, MS or 118, right? It's not like, oh, it's a different one. Never ask, who do you know? See from Pasa, my hometown. Like from which neighborhood though? Yeah, I meant Westside Verdugo. I remember watching your Santa Barbara video where you said Eastside Santa Bruta functions similar with different. Yeah, like they represent the city, right? Like you'll be, East Side Bruta or West Side Verdugo, right? But then you have like the different gangs, like the Seven Streets, and then you have the Calle Siete, to be exact, the Mount Vernon gangsters, and all of that, right? Same with East Side, Bruta with the Rascals, the Traviesos, and all of that, right? But they represent like on the east side of Bruta, and then they represent on the west side of Verdugo, but it's separate gangs, right? Because the west side and the east side are separate. Same with Santa Bruta, east side and west side are separate, right? When you have gangs that are from the west side and you have gangs that are from the east side, that's why they represent the east side of the city. But not to say that they fall under like they're all one gang type shit. It gets complex because then people will be like, oh, well, why don't they just all function as one? Like, oh, I don't know. I'm not from Bruta. I don't know. You would have to ask them individuals of why they don't choose to. Whoopsie, my bad. Like I said, there's so many buttons I don't even know what the hell I'd be tapping sometimes. No, yeah, but like violence is not the same thing as 18 and Longos, even though they coexist, they're different gangs, but they're cool with each other, but they're even though they had beef in the past, they're cool with each other. So but they're not the same gang though. Wes Watson wants people to think he was a shot caller on every yard he went. I know. I don't know why, bro. Like I said, I truly don't know why these individuals, choose to, to behave that way, right? Like they want to be shot callers so bad, bro. With every branch. Oh yeah, we beef it with every branch, right? Because they're all the same thing. They're all the same thing. They're all like, if you have individuals from 18 that you throw them, no matter where they're from, whatever state, if they were to come to like North Hollywood, they would still be a part of their neighborhood and back them up and put in work with them, like to come and look for their rivals, which would be us, right? So they all fall under the same thing, right? So it's like, okay, so fuck them all, you know what I mean? Because so it's like that's why it's all the same thing, right? Because they will back up each other. Guys like Wes Watson, Dubs, Gunner, Renegade Media, Renee Boxer also think they are legends. Now even though I don't follow their channels, in the beginning before I knew whatever, right, when I would scope out some of their videos. Now I don't know, maybe it has changed. I don't know. I could be wrong on this because I'm not too 100% sure because I don't follow the content, right? But I don't think Renegade Media sees himself like that, or is not trying to portray to be that. You get what I'm saying? Now as for Rene, he fell off or whatever, and he talks about his past experiences and maybe to relive the memories and the feeling, right? But he actually lived that though, so that he actually did that though. While Wes Watson, Dubs, and Gunner were never like that. You know what I mean? So they're like trying to pretend to be like that, right? So which is different than Rene, because Rene was actually that. And Renegade, I don't feel like he is trying to portray that. But Wes, Dubs, and Gunner are definitely trying to get people to see them as gangsters that were really doing that. When I don't know. Dubs probably really did that, but as in, I don't believe that Wes nor Gunner was like that. I have had individuals from from Gunner's actual neighborhood hit me up and tell me all kinds of crap. So I'm just like, yeah, I already knew. You don't have to tell me. It's obvious. That's not to discredit or hate on the individuals. It's facts. Facts over feelings. Oh yeah, no, I got a lot of homies from Paso. I don't know if you heard, but or if it was on mute. But yeah, I even work with the homie Jay from Villa Boys. He actually works with me at my Halle. You know what I mean? Joker from Northside Paso. I actually rap with the individuals. Slick from Southside Pasadena as well. You know what I mean? The homie Little G from Westside Paso. Shout out to him. He's locked up, so free him. Do you know the intersection of the first and fourth flats tortilla off the top of your head? Now, off the top of my head, I don't know off the top of my head. I would actually have to go, look it up again, right, on my video, because, like I said, this is not info that like I know everything about the streets, right? This is info that's being told to me by these individuals. You feel me? Because people be like, "Oh, I didn't know so much." Like, well, I know so much because the information is coming from them. So it's not that I actually know so much, but it's actually being told to me by those individuals. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna come and pretend like I know. You know what I mean? I mean, I know a lot, right? But like I said, it's because it comes from those individuals. So I wouldn't want to come on here and pretend like I know it all. You know what I mean? Because then that would be lying. That's crazy because usually the black gangs beef in LA are not carried out over the other states. Yeah, but see, that's because with Mexican neighbors, they're a little bit more structured. You know what I mean? No disrespect towards the brothers, right? Because I don't know, maybe they are structured like that, right? But from at least from what you're telling me, it's just that Mexican gangs tend to be more structured that way. Because they actually fall under similar umbrellas, despite no matter where the fuck they are. And that was the only one who was a color. Him and Mono, they were the only ones. The rest of the guys. Yeah, and you know what? The thing with the other individuals is that the reasons of why they're doing it just doesn't make any sense. And then the fabrications and the lies that come along with it. Not so much like I won't throw that on Dubs' plate, right? Because at least when I would follow Dubs, I wouldn't feel like Dubs would do that, right? I felt like Dubs with Dubs it was more about he was short tempered, right, and stubborn, right? So he would get mad and lash out, but I wouldn't say that he goes on here to fabricate stuff and whatever. Yes, it still comes off like he wants to be seen as gangster and because of what he did, and he takes pride in that, right? And that's I could understand due to the time that he was in the life and whatever the fuck, right? But to still try to lie and say that you didn't debrief when you did, right, in itself is a form of denial already. So it already shows that you do still want to be seen as gangster, right? Because then if not, you're contradicting yourself because of your actions, and what you're saying is two completely different things. But I wouldn't say that he's like lying about like the stuff of what he did and yada yada yada. While with Wes Watson and Gunner, it's all fabrication, right? And we know it's fabrication because of the information that we know, especially that he fell off when he was a juvenile, right? So how could you possibly have a career if you were already no good at the age of 15, right? So, you know what I mean? And like I said, it's not to hate on these individuals. It's just, the facts of things. And you just mentioned between. No, but I have another video where I dive into more details on that, right? On the flats thing. I actually have several videos on covering the flats neighborhood. When black LA gangs are expanded, even structure around the same. There is a document that shows Dubs was SNY. So, yeah, that's what I mean. Like he's SNY, but he refuses to speak about that, right? When it's like, well, you're probably speaking on everything else. I wouldn't see why you wouldn't speak on this, especially since you no longer see yourself like that and no longer consider yourself a gangster and you're already a grown up and yada yada, like he says. Then there should be no problem in why, But it's the opposite. You get the opposite, right? When anybody calls him out, right? He's still like, oh, your career doesn't even reach my career or what I had done, and I have done this, and you know what I mean, like still wanting to be seen as all right, you was putting in work, you gangster, you thug. But in all reality, when you debrief, it don't give a fuck about what you're saying, or what you put in or what your stories were. As soon as you debrief, all that shit flies out the window, bro. You know what I mean? That shit don't count for shit no more, for nothing, zero. Now people could be like, oh, well, that's not fair, or that's not what. Fine. You can see however you want. It don't change the facts, though. That's how the game is ran. You don't like it, or well. But this is how it is, though. All that shit flies out the window. You know what I mean? Because if you was really like you say you are and talking all that like you are right now, then you wouldn't have debriefed. That's not like trying to, because he's from the fell off or whatever, discredit. Those are the facts, though, bro. Because if you was really like that, like you're trying to give off right now, then you would have never debriefed then. Because when the push came to shove, you already showed what happened. You know what I mean? And like I said, like areas like that, look, man, the system is not like how like these individuals. these individuals talk about how they were doing this and smashing on this and all these fights and everything like that. Like, bro, what prisons were you guys in where you guys were shutting down yards like this? Like, if it was no thing but a chicken wing, bro. It's not that simple where you're just able to shut down yards like that, bro. You're shutting down so many programs going on, bro. You're going to have to answer those questions, bro. You know what I mean? You would have got fucking, rolled up out of that bitch. You know what I mean? It's boring. Hardly, shit hardly ever cracks. But when it does crack, it does crack. It's serious shit, right? But 9 times out of 10, bro, ain't nothing going on. It's boring, But these individuals make it seem like it's a fucking battlefield out there where they're like, you know what I mean? And it's like, bro, what prison were you in, bro? When the fuck was this? You know what I mean? If yards were getting shut down like how these individuals talk about that they're getting down, bro, that shit would have been on the news already. You know what I mean? How shit is getting out of hand, been getting out of hand. That's what I mean, though. Like, the illusion that these people want to give up, bro. It's like, why the fuck, bro? Like, for what reason? To be seen as what? Gang, where is that going to get you? Like, that's what I mean. Maybe they don't like their predicament or how their story went out or how they went out, right? Maybe they feel some type of way inside, right? So they're trying to rewrite their fucking, right here. Because obviously in their areas, they're not going to be seen and respected no more, right? But they still want that kind of respect. They still crave it. So they come on here and they get it from here. Makes them feel better. It reminds them of the respect they used to get when they used to be in the streets. But truth of the matter is that it's that illusion you're living in. What good is these individuals seeing you as gangster if you can't go in the real world and be what you proclaim to be? So what does it count for? Nothing. These people's opinions don't matter where it actually matters. Out here, with no disrespect towards, the audience. But it's the truth. It's crazy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my lunch break is over. We got to get back to it. It was good chopping it up with you guys, and we out.